January 2nd, 2010, and I'm wearing a jacket. It's typical Melbourne weather. Yesterday it was 38 degrees. The day before it was like I got sunburn when my head's burnt up here. As you can see what's flaking off. And today I'm still wearing a jacket, and it's quite chilly. So we go up and down like that in Melbourne, and it's quite refreshing. The weather is like it's like it's like it's a bit like life. It goes up and down. But it's because we have the changes coming regularly, we don't have to really worry about being too hot or too cold. So we've got that interesting weather that everybody, I guess, doesn't talk about a lot, but it's interesting enough to be able to do that. I've spent this morning doing some research on the changes in the US with the consumer laws, and there's some legislation that came into effect on the 1st of December for the Fair Trading Act, or Fair Trading Commission, that has quite serious downside issues for internet bloggers and people who are out there making assertions that perhaps don't quite measure up. So it's an attempt to clean up the rubbish that's around, the false assertions that go on. And in fact, they're just part of life. We just keep changing the same rules and changing them up. But there's a whole lot of ragbag guys out there and people are out there that are just start off and going to make money. That's their only objective. And they just put it on the internet so it makes some bullshit claims and people pay money and they get nothing for it. And of course, you know, that's the way, there's a mystery about all this, that we can make money on the internet just by being on it. And of course, that's nonsense. I've been writing for the internet for at least 3 or 4 years. Probably a little bit longer with jokes and things like that. And I know that the work that's involved in making money is work. You've got to add value. We've got to find some product that people want to buy. We've got to entice them into our shop. We've got to find a way to make it pleasing, a pleasant buying experience for people. It's not about just making false promises and getting gullible little old ladies to buy to get paint jobs in the house, things like that, things they don't need. It's not about that. It's about giving people real value. And the genuine internet marketers who are out there trying to make a living, just moving product and getting volumes and pricing and positioning and value propositions all in place. They're genuine people. The law won't affect them. In fact, it'll be good for them. Because now you've got to make a disclaimer. For example, if I want to talk about my friend's business, and I say this is a really fantastic consulting practice, or this chartered accounting firm can really take care of your company, or these people have got a great ERP system that'll sort out your back office, or a great performance management will sort out the operational perspective. I can talk about those things as a so-called expert, or as somebody who makes a living out of advising people on that and what's the best approach. But if I come out and just recommend them and I get some sort of kickback from that and I don't tell you, then that's against the law. Because my vested interest is now in you buying that product, because I use my credentials and my good name and all the trust that I've built up with you to convince you to buy something that may not be good for you. So I'm actually compromised. And that's what the law's about. So now you'll find that the good players will have things like disclaimers on them. I get a kickback from this thing. The reason I'm being paid to say this for this customer. I'm being paid to endorse their products because I believe in it. I'm quite happy to say that. But I'm quite happy to say I'm being paid as well, which I expect to be, because why would I do it? Unless I had some esoterical ideal that says, oh, I'll do this for other people, then I get some benefit by being an expert myself, which is no longer the objective of the sale anymore. You win, I win, because I've got a happy customer. Now, it's not a compromise situation. So the changes in the law are quite significant in the US. But then what does that mean for the rest of us? It doesn't mean a lot, I guess, because it's the US. But we all know that the US, in terms of primary lead the world. And litigious impact, the knock-on impact of competitive advantage of being the people that stand up credibly on the web and show that they're credible, will force other people to follow suit no matter what. So in the Asian economy, for example, we'll see a movement away from the shonkies, the buy one get one free sort of approach, and the $2 watches and things will start to evaporate from our markets, and we'll start to get quality back in. So it can only be a good thing. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a challenge for some of us to get our heads around, some of the so-called, the noise we make when we try to convince people something's good for them. And really, the reason we're trying to convince them is so they'll buy from us, because we want to make a living. So it's really a difficult situation in sales to try and balance that. But I think the law is good for us because it forces us to take the approach that we're legitimate. Okay, that's enough for now.